welcome to your remainder of August energy reading for the rest of August, seeing as we're launching this midway through August with myself, Steph Baker. I hope this collective message for those of you that are watching and the collective that are watching this finds you in high spirits today and you're having a wonderful start to your August so far. It's been very dynamic, very powerful energetically. And we had obviously the full moon at the beginning of the month on the 1st, and then we're also having another one at the end of the month. So this month has been very much like being in an eclipse portal to an extent, with the way that the energy has been circulating, and there's a lot of sort of strong Uranian energy as well, sort of the unexpected movements, sudden unexpected changes and things that are happening as well. So it does feel a lot like an eclipse portal. It's similar to how sort of this, huge change can rush in, and also things can be taken very, very quickly during that time if they're not in alignment with you. So this is very much the energy that's going to continue throughout the rest of the month. And throughout the rest of the month now, as we're sort of nearly at the midway point, there is this crescendo energy building of things that have been on the back burner, that have been, working diligently behind the scenes for some time. There is this crescendo energy this month, particularly in the second half. And my guides asked me to pull a couple of cards just so you can see sort of what's circulating. And we first have the Wish Upon a Star card. Now, this actually came out twice in both of the decks that I pulled, and it came out in the Happy Surprise card as well. So this is about unexpected blessings arriving, and it's about things suddenly appearing out of nowhere. So being really, really clear on what it is that you want, and maintaining that vision as we go throughout this month, because a lot of the energy and what's going to be asked of you this month as we continue through it is that you disconnect from reality as it is now. When you're ushering in a new paradigm, when you're ushering in a new timeline, and you're voyaging on a new journey, because the Fool card keeps coming through very much this month. We're starting on a completely new path, on a completely new trajectory for so many people, and this is sort of the culmination point of the wishes fulfilled, and it opens the door to this completely new timeline, essentially, is what I've been seeing. And it's this ability that we've cultivated, and knowing our own inner light. So I actually pulled the light card as well, and what that feels like to us, which is going to guide the way for us, which means almost looking at reality as a very lucid construct as you go throughout this month, that anything can change very quickly. It's about releasing attachment for what exists in your reality right now, while simultaneously still being grateful that it exists and it's there servicing you at this time. So it's about sort of maintaining that space, but not being too attached to everything and the way that things are around you, because we are at this point where it's this crux of everything that's about to shift, everything that's about to change, and this build of this crescendo energy. And so much of what's going to be happening this month is we're going to be having a lot more connection with others. There's going to be a lot more connections coming in for each of us, soul family, soul tribe, people that are on, or consider themselves to be on the twin flame journey, or with the calling in soulmate counterparts. A lot of these connections are going to be coming to fruition this month, and a deepening of these connections as well in sort of very raw and dramatic ways. So I actually pulled the best friends and the brothers and sisters card. So this is all about, finding and reestablishing soul family. It's about making sure that you are putting yourself in a position whereby you are outreaching to those that actually see your value, that feel your value, and feel the love and whatever it is that you're offering or expressing, that they are, able to actually reach in a way that is receptive to them as well. So it really is about connecting with like minds, and I say like minds, I mean more sort of in a case of people that are emotionally available, emotionally in the same space as us on our trajectory, that are on our timeline as well, because there is this sort of huge insurgence of soul connections that are happening this month, and a lot more action in terms of meeting new people, or reacquainting with old people that we haven't seen for a long time, that are now on our path. And there is this sort of re-emergence and this rejuggling of all of these connections as people come to these realizations of what it is that they value, what it is that they want out of life, because of all the slowing down of the planets, all the retrograde planets at the moment, which is causing people to internalize and listen to their intuition and their feelings stronger than anything logical, because there is this sort of essence of reality reshifting itself, of entering onto these new timelines. And if we're doing that, then the old things have to break away. So the more that we learn to detach from external reality and the way things have to show up, or the way that our life, our routines and everything is set up right now, the easier and more fluid that these new timelines can weave their way in. And I've had the message consistently throughout this month is continue to be the dream weaver, continue to be in that space of the visionary, of the creative, and then just act on inspiration when it comes through you. Because there are sort of these undertones of frustration energy this month. But if we're coming up against frustration and these feelings of, feeling as if we're hitting our head up against a brick wall, it's a sign to disconnect in that moment. It's to go within and to say, what is it that I'm trying to force? What is it that I'm trying to control right now that, I don't have control over that outcome? And it's about pulling your power back from that situation and reorienting it towards something that you do have in that moment, creative power over. Because essentially that's how we redirect our timelines. That's how we re-anchor into a new timeline. It's by pulling attention, pulling, the energy back from whatever it is that we're giving to in an old framework, in an old timeline, in an old construct, something from the past that really is not servicing us anymore, and moving that energy, because we have the power to do that as alchemists and, as magicians, as creators of this reality, to then put that energy into something else. And this is one of the biggest themes coming throughout this month because of the influx of creative energy. And there's a lot of pressure as well behind the creative energy, because there is this slowdown as well. It's asking us to be very, very clear about where we put it, very, very deliberate. And we also have as well the power of purpose. So people are going to know strongly this month where it is they're being called to next. And if you don't get that feeling of sort of like, explosive creativity, like this, this is what feeds my soul, this is what I want to be doing with my life, this is where I'm going next, the energy of curiosity is where it's taking you. Because often when we come to new timelines and we're on a full, we're starting out, the Fool, which is the first card in the tarot, which is the start of a new journey, is that we don't have all the details, we don't have the plan for what that's going to look like, because we're in uncharted territory. And if the previous timelines, the previous point in your life that you have arrived at has all been created from, essentially reconciliation of childhood wounding or needing to clear out old karmic contracts, then when we start on this new path of being authentically ourselves, it can feel like we're brand new again. And that can feel a little bit overwhelming, which is why we have to slow down and continuously keep tuning into ourselves, continually tap into our heart center, into our higher selves, and ask, what is our purpose? Where am I being led next? What is my heart telling me? Excuse me. Where is my heart telling me that I need to go next? And this is the energy of this month, like blueprints and what people have been signed up to next is going to be so clear, so clear, particularly in the last part of this month. And there is this jump to action in the second part of this month. It's like, it's time to take action. You need to get the ball rolling, because the energy has built up, the momentum has built up to such an extent where the creative energy, this new energy of where you're going, is going to rush through you. And if you're not taking action on it, it's going to feel quite overwhelming. It's going to feel as if we're disoriented to an extent, because there's a lot of fire energy, but there's a lot of earth energy in the cosmos at the moment as well at the same time, which can bring sort of those feelings of frustration if we're not sort of following the flow of where we're being directed to go. So just tune into yourself and let your own inner light lead the way. And the visual that I was actually given was from, for those of you who have seen the Harry Potter movies, where he waves his magic wand and says Lumos, and he lights, it basically creates a spark of light from the end of his wand, and it illuminates the path in front of him. It's like a torch essentially, but it's a very small light that sort of illuminates just exactly what's in front of him. It doesn't go very far, the light doesn't go very far, but that's all he needs to see. And this is what we're going to be doing, is that it doesn't matter what everybody else around you is doing, is that all you need to do is spark your own light so that you can see just what's available to you in that moment, and take action on what is being called to come through you, what is in your heart, what needs to be communicated, what needs to be created right now. Because this is what's going to lock you into your new timeline. It's not about planning ahead. It's not about seeing sort of the future of exactly how things are going to drop. It's about taking action that you are inspired to take, or what spikes your curiosity. Curiosity is going to be a big word for people throughout the rest of this month, because it's going to be what's divinely leading your path, what spikes your curiosity. Because this is often what leads us to discover things that we didn't know that we really wanted to experience, or skills that we may not have known that we've had that suddenly come to life when we start engaging in something new, or somebody gives us an opportunity. So this curiosity is going to be a huge theme going forward continuously, but particularly in August, people are really going to be asked to reacquaint themselves with the inner child, the inner curious child that is wanting to explore the world. But this is about allowing yourself to expand through your own curiosity and through where your creative energy is asking you to go. We have the Shining Through card, which is, shine through despite, regardless of your outer circumstances, regardless of what reality is sort of looking like it's playing with at the moment, because it's an old paradigm that's shifting out. And do what you need to do in order to sort of like get your your basic needs met. But anything outside of that, just go with your intuition, go with what you're being guided to do in the moment, because your higher self has the overview, it has the plan. It's a lot more complex than what the mind is able to see, and it also births this reality through us that is magical. If you want to live a magical life, you live from your higher self, because the higher self does not work with the construct of time. It works with magnetics, and it works with things arriving at the right time, not in the way that we force them. So if you want a magical life, let your heart shine through and let it be the path that leads you forward, because it will plug you into and anchor you into this completely new way of being. And this is the transition that has been very, very heavy, particularly throughout July and the first part of August. But the second part of August is they're going to be very, very clear. And even at this point right now, when I'm doing this video, the past couple of days, and particularly with this new moon, people are going to be very clear on where they're being directed to next, whether that is their passion, it is what's being communicated to them through their heart, or it is their curiosity and their inspiration. But the path is going to be clear individually if we make time to make sure that we're connecting with our own internal blueprint. And manifestations, as say, things that we've been, wanting, that really are still truly in alignment with who we are and in our heart, are going to be coming to fruition in very unexpected ways. This energy is also going to follow into September as well, but particularly in August, it's sort of like this, wow, like where did that come from? Even though it's sort of been building behind the scenes for such a long time, it is this happy surprise energy. And it's this strange thing with manifestation, is that even though we're expecting things to come in, even in the way that they happen, or when they do happen in sort of an unexpected way, it's still it's a real shock and a real surprise to the human, because it's perhaps coming in a non-logical planned way. It's coming in a magical way. So be open to the way that things show up for you, and it'll be the perfect way in which you need them. Like, there's so much divine orchestration that's happening at the minute, and because we're moving and there is so much shifting that's been happening, we've been bombarded by light codes the first part of this month and at the end of July as well. It's been very, very heightened. It's been coming in sort of these waves of contraction, where people have been clearing out the debris of old, particularly emotional heaviness still, and attachment as well to identity, attachment to certain things in their physical reality that are stopping them from up-leveling. And when we say up-leveling, it's accepting who we are, for example, and saying, that quality of life, or, is not necessarily a match to who I am. So I need to detach and say it's okay to move on from this now, so that something else can come in. There's no bias in terms of how the universe would view that, but based on, the experience of what you want to have. It's like, for me, example, I wouldn't be comfortable living in a tent. That's not a reflection of who I am. Yes, it's a viable way of living if you want to, go out and live in a field, and that's your dream, but it's not a viable way for me to live. It would not bring me joy. It's like if I was to go to a festival, I don't necessarily want to go and camp at the festival. I would much rather stay in a hotel or somewhere that has amenities that are, nice and, very, very easy. I don't desire to do sort of the camping side of things at all. So it's just accepting those parts of ourselves. It's accepting who we are. and allowing life to mirror that to us. And, you know, without judgment, without bias. It's got nothing to do with you know, hierarchy or the way that we see those things, or a right or wrong way of doing it. It's just knowing who we are and the experiences that we want to have. So it's claiming that and it's owning that. And the Leo energy is very much going to drill that into people. Like, it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to want the things that you want, just because, you know, society or your family unit or people externally to you may not agree with that. It may not be their path, but that's okay, because this is about getting your desires fulfilled. And once your cup is full, you become a much stronger vessel for service to others as well, because you can fill from the overflow. And this is what it's about. This is about a declaration of self-love to such an extent that the overflow floods into the rest of the world, or your surroundings, or whatever it is that or whoever it is that you're connected to. It's the true meaning of abundance. So water is coming through very strongly this month. People are going to need to drink a lot of water, particularly with this shift, and particularly with all the light codes coming in as well. They assimilate much, much quicker. I'm also seeing coconut water and anything that helps the body to absorb hydration quicker, or assist in sort of the electrolyte balance. So I'm also seeing cucumber water as well, lemon water, anything where there's something added extra. But particularly coconut water to assist in the excess hydration. So if you find that your body fluctuates slightly this month in terms of water retention, and suddenly it shifts, and then you get water retention again, suddenly it shifts, this is just you going through essentially this shift into this new timeline and anchoring in, and your body's doing it in a way where it's protecting itself in the process as well, as these new codes and things are coming online in you. Because what was interesting, and what I also saw, is that we're at this convergence point. So for those of you that have been clearing and healing for quite some time, and the collective that I'm talking to on here is people that will have been on that journey for some time, you are going to be sort of have this recognition. So from what I was shown is that, so the last time that humanity were at the vibrational point that they are now was just prior to the fall of Atlantis. Now the fall of Atlantis was, I think it was around 25,000 years ago from what I saw. And this point where humans sort of fell into lower density because of the decisions that they made, it's taken us that long to basically weave out all the karma and everything that happened in between that, so that we can get to this point, this vibrational stage now, where we can step into our power and almost meet ourselves where we were at that last point, when Atlantis was at its peak. And spiritually we were at our spiritual power to the extent that we're able to access now. And following that through and remembering that there has been this convergence where everything in between that has been collapsed. So we don't need to keep going into the past to dig things out. It's about a remembering of who we are now and how powerful we are spiritually and as creators, and knowing that we've sort of caused this convergence in space-time and this collapse. So everything in between that has sort of been is in a lower vibration. It's not accessible to you anymore, because you'll almost feel like you have to come immediately back out of it again, because it's so out of whack, it's so out of timing with your new timeline. And this is because of this convergence. So previously, when we were doing a lot of the healing, and when we were recollecting almost skills and gifts that we'd established in previous lives, that we brought forward into this life, when we used to have to go and revisit them in between that time scale, in between the fall of Atlantis and where we are now, we had to go back into lifetimes where there was inherent trauma about reclaiming of those gifts and bringing them through into this life. So we've had to process a lot of trauma just from bringing our gifts forward. But what my guide showed me is that we're not going to be accessing gifts, because all of that's been done. Everything that needed reclaiming from that time to be brought forward has been done. So we're at this level now where it's literally just allowing the path to illuminate for new things that are coming online that were active either prior to the fall of Atlantis, when we were at our peak in spiritual gifts, so we didn't have all this karma and everything else that was on top of it, that they were fully active. So there isn't going to be any sort of that trauma going in and reclaiming and activating those gifts now. And some people will also be getting activations from galactic gifts as well. So we've had a lot of extraterrestrial, we've had a lot of galactic support throughout the whole of this year. It's been very, very hands-on, particularly the Pleiadians and the Syrians as well, the Arcturians. There's been a lot of groups, to be fair, the Galactic Alliance, a lot of groups that have been assisting with different things, particularly with healing, putting people into sort of healing chambers and facilitating accelerated healing. So there will be activations from skills that things that you've had from other dimensions, other lifetimes as well. So just be open to what it is that Spirit is showing you is going to start unlocking in you as well, because some people are going to be very, very surprised, like the unexpected happy surprises. Oh my God, I didn't know I could do this, or this sudden remembering of almost like this galactic authority that you've had in a different, a different lifetime, different dimension, that is fully going to come online in you, because we are at fertile ground for that to happen. So just stay open and just stay in your own lane and just keep connecting with your inner world, because things are going to unravel in magical ways. And when we are, it's almost like, and I spoke about this earlier on in the year, for those of you that follow me on social media, this turning of the wheel that's happened. And as we are coming out of that turning of the wheel, it feels cranky. It's like it's been rusty and old for a really long time, and then it starts to turn, and we've hit this point at the top where we've moved out of having to push the wheel and we're dropping into the magic. So it's almost as if things will naturally flow. We're past that midway point, and particularly what my guides were showing me is that past it, and they specifically showed me the 17th, which is just after we go through the new moon in Leo, is that this is the midway point. This is when everything shifts. So the magic and the way that things are going to start unfolding is going to be in a much more light, preferable and magical way. So this is due to the work that you've been doing. This is the collapse that everybody's been working on, all of the star seeds, people that resonate with the light worker, the light warriors and all those sorts of things. This is what's been cleared so that we can move things out of the way, so that we can step into this 5D reality, essentially, where things are a lot more magical. It's out of the construct of time, where we're coming into alignment with things exactly in the right moment in a fluid way. It's not this sort of deep, dense struggle that people have to go through in order to, to get to certain things or to do certain things. It's a completely different way of being. So these are the messages that are coming through for the rest of August, and the main themes. But we're in a very, very powerful space, and so long as you stay in your own lane and recognize and really pay attention to what your energy is doing, what your desires are coming forward in that moment, and what you're being inspired to take action on, things will unfold for you in a very magical way. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I will check in again with you soon. Take care.